Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy, people dealing with drama, cheating, lies, breakups, and even revenge. Some stories are wild, some are emotional, but all of them will keep you watching. If you like real talk and real situations, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. This is Crazy Pepper Revenge, where the stories get spicy.
This happened 2 years ago, but I'm finally ready to share the most catastrophic mistake of my life. I thought I was being clever, progressive, and sexually liberated, but I was just being incredibly selfish and monumentally stupid. The consequences destroyed not just my marriage, but everyone around me. My friend Mary had been telling me for months about her feminine marriage ministry philosophy, where women get to explore relationships with multiple men while their husbands gradually become more submissive and accepting. She painted this picture of having the best of both worlds: a devoted husband at home, plus exciting lovers on the side. Mary would describe in vivid detail how her husband Harold had become so compliant that he would literally stand beside their bed while she was intimate with other men, sometimes even cleaning up afterward. She made it sound like the ultimate female empowerment, and I was completely seduced by the idea. I was married to Jack for several years at this point. He's genuinely a good man who loved me completely and unconditionally. We had a solid, equal partnership with mutual respect and great closeness. But I got caught up in Mary's stories about having multiple well-endowed lovers while maintaining a devoted husband who would cater to my every whim. She convinced me that with the right approach, Jack would eventually not just accept this arrangement, but actually come to enjoy watching me with other men. According to Mary, it would take a couple months of gradual conditioning, but then I'd have him completely under my control. The plan seemed foolproof when Mary explained it. First, I'd present it as a temporary exploration phase before having children. Then I'd gradually introduce the idea of him watching. Eventually, he'd become obsessed to the humiliation and beg to serve me and my lovers. Mary had supposedly perfected this technique after ruining 2 previous marriages, finally succeeding with Harold. One evening, after cooking Jack's favorite dinner, I sat him down with a beer and began what I thought would be a simple conversation. My heart was pounding as I explained that I needed to explore a bit before we settled down completely and started having kids. I told him it would be temporary, maybe a couple months at most, and then I could be the best wife and mother possible. I was shocked when he didn't immediately explode in anger. Jack listened calmly as I explained that I'd be seeing other men occasionally, that we'd still make love regularly, but I needed this sexual exploration to clear my head. I emphasized that he was the only one I truly loved, that this was just physical experimentation. When I mentioned I might bring men home sometimes and he'd need to sleep in the spare room, he remained unnervingly composed. His response caught me completely off guard. He said conversationally that he wasn't giving his permission, that he was on record as being opposed to the idea, but that I was a grown woman and he wouldn't physically stop me if I thought it was necessary. However, he made it clear we wouldn't be intimate during this period because he refused to risk catching any STDs. He asked practical questions about logistics, whether I was moving out, whether I'd be bringing men to our house, how long this would last. I was thrilled by what I interpreted as his mature, accepting response. When I told Mary about it, she was ecstatic. This proved that Jack was already beginning to fall in line with our plan. She predicted that within a week or two, he'd be begging to return to our bedroom, and then we could start introducing the watching element. Everything was going exactly according to her strategy. That very night, Mary and I went to a popular club where we met up with Larry and Josh, 2 attractive account managers from our office who had reputations for being well-endowed and skilled lovers. While Jack was only moderately sized, I was excited about the prospect of experiencing considerably larger equipment with men who supposedly knew how to use their assets effectively. We spent hours drinking, dancing, and flirting. During slow songs, I pressed against both men, feeling their hardness and letting their hands roam across my body. When it came time to decide who would go home with whom, Mary and I settled it with 3 rounds of rock, paper, scissors. I won Josh, while Mary got Larry. As we drove to my house, I was practically vibrating with anticipation. The house was completely dark when Josh and I arrived. I assumed Jack had gone to bed early in the spare room as he'd promised. I led Josh down the hallway to what was now officially my bedroom, pointing out that all of Jack's belongings had been moved out as expected. The room felt different, more exciting, like it was truly mine now. Josh wanted me to keep my garter belt and stockings on, which added to the thrill. I'd lost my underwear earlier in the evening. Whether to Larry's or Josh's wandering hands, I couldn't remember and didn't care. The next 2 hours were absolutely incredible. We tried multiple positions, taking breaks to avoid exhaustion. I rode him while he spanked my A, something I decided I'd only allow Jack to do on special occasions like birthdays or anniversaries. This would be reserved for my other lovers. We even continued in the shower and again the next morning. I woke up Saturday feeling amazing, but slightly disappointed that Jack hadn't made coffee or breakfast. It was already past 9, and typically he'd have been up for an hour by then. I was actually planning to reward him with a hand job for being so compliant about moving to the spare room and handling the situation so maturely. I called Mary to share details about my incredible night with Josh. She was equally enthusiastic about Larry's performance. But when I went to find Jack to discuss morning coffee expectations, I discovered the spare bedroom was completely empty. Not just empty of Jack, but empty of all his clothes. The closet was bare. Running through the house in panic, I realized his truck was gone along with all his tools from the garage. That's when the horrible truth hit me. When Jack said he would move out by the time I returned, I had assumed he meant move out of our bedroom into the spare room, but he had meant move out of the house entirely. He'd never promised to move into the spare room. He'd promised to move out completely, and that's exactly what he'd done while I was at the club with Josh. Mary tried to convince me this was actually a good development. She insisted I shouldn't contact Jack because it would show weakness and desperation. According to her expert opinion, he was just having a little tantrum and would come crawling back within days, giving me even more leverage to establish my dominance. She predicted I could now make him beg and grovel to return, setting whatever conditions I wanted. The longer he stayed away, the more desperate he'd become. For the entire next week, I heard absolutely nothing from Jack. Meanwhile, I continued my daily encounters with Larry and Josh in the office supply closet. Mary had established a whole schedule for office affairs, with at least half the women participating. We'd block out fake meetings on our calendars while using the storage room for hour-long sessions. It felt exciting and rebellious, like we were part of an exclusive club. Then everything came crashing down simultaneously on Friday morning. A professionally dressed woman appeared at our office coffee station where Mary, Larry, Josh, and I were chatting during our break. She politely asked if we were Kayla Adams, Mary Morgan, Josh Johnson, and Larry Jones. After we confirmed our identities, she handed each of us a manila envelope and quickly took photos with a digital camera. She cheerfully explained that she was just paid to deliver the envelopes, not read them, then headed straight to our boss's office without knocking. We opened our envelopes to find comprehensive divorce papers citing infidelity, complete with photographs, video evidence, audio recordings, and notarized witness statements. The documentation was incredibly thorough and damning. At the same moment, both Larry and Josh's phones rang with their furious wives screaming that their belongings were being thrown out on the lawn and that they should find somewhere else to sleep because divorce papers were coming. Our boss's voice boomed from his office, clearly audible throughout the entire floor. He appeared in his doorway and loudly demanded that Adams, Morgan, Johnson, and Jones report to his office immediately. Every employee in the building could hear him. We walked past him with our heads down as he slammed the door behind us. Inside his office, he was absolutely livid. He waved another manila envelope and explained that the company was facing a major lawsuit for failing to enforce the moral conduct policies outlined in our employee handbook. The lawsuit specifically named Mrs. Adams, Mr. Johnson, and Mr. Jones for inappropriate conduct during business hours on company property, while Mrs. Morgan was accused of running what he called a company brothel in the storage room. He demanded we deny these allegations, but none of us could speak. When we remained silent, he continued explaining that the court order prevented him from firing us immediately, but security cameras would be installed, the storage room would be locked with keys held by security, and all employees would be required to complete morality training. A company-wide email went out within minutes, and my inbox immediately exploded with hate mail from coworkers. The four of us met at a bar after work, hiding in a corner booth while receiving hostile looks from other employees. Josh grimly explained that Jack's inclusion of the court order preventing our immediate termination wasn't kindness. It was strategic cruelty. By keeping us employed until the lawsuit settled, Jack ensured we'd have stable income that could be used to calculate alimony payments. If we quit or got fired immediately, we might be able to claim poverty and avoid financial obligations to our ex-spouses. Larry and Josh were facing devastating divorce settlements with alimony and child support payments based on their current salaries. Their wives had also turned the children against them. The advice was to keep our jobs and save money while we could, because we'd all be fired the moment the lawsuit concluded. I tried desperately to contact Jack, but discovered he'd blocked my phone number. When I tried Mary's phone, it was blocked too. His friends either didn't know where he was or refused to tell me. I spent weekends driving around motel parking lots looking for his truck, following his friends, hoping they'd lead me to him. Even camping outside his workplace, only to learn he'd taken 2 weeks of vacation. Finally, in desperation, I sent him a long email confession. I admitted being an idiot who'd fallen for Mary's manipulative scheme. I begged his forgiveness and offered to do literally anything to get him back. I promised to wear a chastity belt and give him the keys, serve his friends at parties wearing nothing but lingerie and high heels, accept spankings with a leather belt in front of anyone he chose, get STD tested, and send him the results, even accept divorce or watch him with other women if that's what it took. I told him I was his willing slave and would help him get revenge on Mary, Larry, and Josh if he wanted. Jack read the email, but didn't respond immediately. For months, I heard nothing while my life completely fell apart. 2 years later, I'm writing this update while kneeling without clothes beside our bed, wearing a chastity belt, waiting for Jack to finish with another woman. This is my penance, and I accept it completely. It took 6 brutal months of proving myself before he agreed to take me back, and the terms were harsh, but fair given what I'd done. Jack now brings other women home about once a month while I watch, and sometimes participate as directed. After getting fired when the lawsuit settled, I became a stay-at-home mother to our twin toddlers. I remain without clothes most of the time at home, though Jack recently said I need to start wearing clothes since the kids are getting old enough to notice. I only dress when leaving the house or when we have guests, though I still answer the door without clothes for deliveries. I underwent laser hair removal to create a permanent landing strip, which makes it impossible to hide the Jack tattoos on both sides of my pubic area. Every week, Jack gives me 5 stripes across my buttocks with a leather strap, followed by taking me from behind while I bend over the couch. There are additional stripes on my buttocks or chest when I mess up, but I genuinely enjoy our weekly ritual. Mary thought she had everything figured out, but her husband Harold had been quietly gathering evidence the entire time. When he finally struck, it was devastating. He liquidated all their assets, refinanced their house to extract the equity, then served her with divorce papers and disappeared completely. She lost everything: the house, the money, her job, her reputation. She's now working for half her previous salary and can't find anyone willing to date her. Larry and Josh ended up in a small apartment in a rough neighborhood, working low-paying jobs to cover massive alimony and child support payments. Their ex-wives successfully turned their children against them, and their social lives are non-existent. People ask why I endure this apparent humiliation. The answer is simple. Jack still loves me despite everything I did to destroy our marriage. He's shown me fair divorce papers I could sign any time, but I've refused every time. He's an excellent father, lover, and husband. I got so caught up in Mary's fantasy of female empowerment and sexual liberation that I nearly lost the love of my life. Instead of appreciating the equal partnership we had, I became truly subservient to my husband. It wasn't planned, but I'm genuinely content now. I learned what really matters in life, and it isn't having multiple lovers or a submissive husband. It's being grateful for genuine love and not throwing it away for selfish fantasies that sound too good to be true.